Welcome to the Technopark podcast, your gateway to the world of technology, entrepreneurship, innovation, and the future of business. I am your host, Annie Moses. On each episode, we will dive into insightful interviews with visionaries and pioneers to uncover the compelling stories behind the strategies shaping tomorrow's businesses. So fasten your seatbelts because the future starts now. Today, our guest is Ms. Tina James. She is a two-time entrepreneur, currently serving as CEO of Reverie Global. She has nearly 2 decades of experience in providing leadership and strategic direction to business operations, customer acquisition, and project delivery functions. Tina also serves as the president of Women Inclusive in Technology, an NGO operating across Kerala IT parks, focused on the skilling, mentoring, and growth of women in IT. Let's listen to her insights. Hi, Tina. Welcome to the 4th episode of Technopark podcast. I'm excited we finally had the chance to sit down for a conversation.
Thanks, Annie. Really appreciate that. I'm really happy to be here and join you on this podcast.
You're a long-time entrepreneur and you are now running your second company. Can you tell us about your journey in becoming the CEO of Reverie Global?
Sure. So, today if you look around, you see a lot of youngsters who have startup companies. And this is considered quite an impressive thing, quite a normal thing to do. But back when my partner and I started our first IT venture, which was nearly 18 years ago, going into business was considered a very risky thing. It was definitely not the popular career option back then. And particularly in my case, because I grew up abroad, I was working abroad at the time. So it came as a big shock for my parents when I announced that I would be relocating to Kerala, all the cultural shift and the language changes. Okay. And to add to this, I'm not a technical person. I come from a science background. So not only I was going to relocate to a new place, but I'm also starting a business I knew nothing about. So you can imagine family reaction to something like that. So our first company was entirely bootstrapped. So there was a lot of challenges when it came to scaling. But at the same time, it gave us some unique opportunities to learn new skills, position ourselves in niche markets, and exercise financial restraint in our decision making. And as a young woman in business, there was always the need to prove myself. And I think that this helped me develop a lot of grit and perseverance, which played an important role in getting me to the place I am today. So 5 years ago, when we started our second company, I was able to carry forward many learnings and, chart out a new path for the company and the culture I wanted to create. So yes, it's been a journey filled with lots of ups and downs, and a lot of mistakes were made over the way, a lot of lessons learned. But one of the beautiful things about being an entrepreneur is that you have to think on your feet, learn a little bit of everything. So I think the journey really contributed to who I am as a person and the leadership style I follow.
That was quite a journey. So what do you feel are some key lessons you have learned along the way?
Wow, there have been a lot of lessons along the way, and most of which I learned the hard way. But if I were to summarize the important ones, it would firstly be to embrace failure. So failure is inevitable. It's also a very powerful teacher. So as an entrepreneur, you can't afford to allow setbacks to affect you. Instead, learn from these failures, just dust yourself off and, move on to the next thing. Secondly, I'd say it's to surround yourself with the right people. You can't take the entrepreneurial journey alone. So as a woman, I needed a strong support system at home. I was very fortunate to have that system to lean on. As a boss, I needed a team that was competent and shared the vision. So without the right team, no matter how many deals you close, you have nothing. So human capital, in my view, is the biggest asset a company has. And it's a give and take kind of relationship, because not only do you need to be an inspiration for your team, but in turn, they also turn into your biggest source of motivation to help you forge forward. So as far as I'm concerned, I genuinely love everyone I work with. It makes the whole journey worthwhile for me. And probably the third most important lesson I learned is to take risks. So by nature, I'm a very risk-averse person. But sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith and trust the process. Definitely you will stumble, but more often than not, you'll get through it. And, with greater risk is often greater reward. So I think we shouldn't get left behind just because we're being a bit too cautious.
Okay, that's a good thing to say. You mentioned that human capital is your biggest asset. What are some strategies used by River to hire top-notch talent?
If I'm being honest, I'd say that the advent of COVID and the remote working model was a game changer for us. So, up until that point, we were hiring only from within the state. But today we have team members all over the country, and this really helped us in filling our ranks with the most skilled resources in and out of Kerala. And we still continue to operate in the remote and hybrid model. So, we have a fantastic tried and tested method in place to manage the remote workforce, and productivity is at an all-time high. The other strategy we've successfully adopted over the past few years is that we rely more on engaging part-time or consulting employees. As a rule, historically, this is something we stayed away from because of commitment issues and cost associated. But here also, we opened up a managed model to help these individuals to integrate better into our team, and this has been very successful. We've also created a network of trusted partners that we can rely on from time to time. Anytime we needed to extend our workbench and add on resources to the team in the short duration. And this has helped us fulfill client requirements without a significant impact on our long-term expenses. We also invest heavily on training the talent we hire. So our training is not just about technical know-how, but also about helping each team member to evolve into a growth and learning mindset to become fully integrated with the culture of the company.
Okay. How do you foster innovation and adaptability within River Global to ensure your team stays ahead in a fast-paced industry?
There has definitely been a stronger focus on innovation and adaptability in the past few years. We're very focused on adapting new and emerging technology, and we've also invested into innovation-enabling tools to help the team stay ahead. We have dedicated R&D teams within the organization that constantly explores new frameworks and domains, and all of our team members are encouraged to adopt continuous learning to upgrade their skills. We also promote cross-functional collaboration. What we have found actually is that the most interesting ideas and innovations come to light when there's a cross-pollination of thoughts, and discussions between teams that come from different backgrounds and have different perspectives. Diversity of thought is also encouraged. In our organization, there's no such thing as a bad idea. It's only ideas that are too early, ideas we have already worked on, and ideas that we need to look into right away. So people get recognized for any idea they bring to the table, and this also creates a culture of open and growth-oriented thinking.
That's great. Technopark Trivandrum is known as one of the largest IT parks in India. How has being located in Technopark benefited River Global?
So when I started my first company, we were actually located outside the park. But after 2 years, we moved to Technopark, and we've been here for the last 16 years or so. And I feel it was one of the best decisions made. Technopark has been very successful in creating a vibrant platform or ecosystem that is beneficial for all involved stakeholders. So as a business owner, I have benefited from the strong infrastructure and security services offered by Technopark. In all of these years, we've not had a single day of work lost due to disruptions in power or any other conflicting conditions. Because of the diversity of companies within the park, there has also been opportunities for resource sharing. And I personally know of many companies that collaborate for business opportunities as well. Employees also benefit from being within the park. There are inter-company cultural and sports competitions which are organized by various cultural organizations here. There are also groups within the park that foster knowledge-sharing culture, which has played a significant role in the community. Technopark has also created a very safe environment for women. So we see a good female participation in the overall workforce here. And I can also say it's been a very impressive experience for our clients and US stakeholders when they visit us to see the campus and to understand the scale of investments coming into Kerala and the IT operations being executed in Kerala. So all of this has worked very much in our favor, which has come through this ecosystem that Technopark has successfully built.
That's great. Tina, tell me, how does River Global contribute to the local economy?
So Remry Global has been very consciously working towards a stronger environmental, social, and governance policy. And as a part of this ESG criteria, we've adopted 2 causes. One is in climate change and the other is in diversity and inclusion. Towards preventing climate change, we have been involved in a number of reforestation efforts across the state with various stakeholders. Two of such initiatives are actually within Technopark itself, where we worked with other companies to create a Miyawaki forest within the campus, and we've also planted trees around the campus. And outside of this, we also engage in various environmental cleanup exercises in Trivandrum. Now, on the inclusion side, we work closely with groups focused on skilling women and the girl child. We've also created a re-entry program for women who are returning to work after a career break. And every year at Reverie Global, we ensure hiring within this bracket. Apart from this, we organize a number of community outreach programs. These are opportunities for our team members to contribute their time to social work. We believe that this creates greater appreciation and a sense of belonging and purpose for the team. And this is an important part of the culture we foster within our company.
And I would like to bring up my last question in the few more minutes we have. What advice would you share with aspiring entrepreneurs?
Speaking from my own experience and the journeys that I have seen that other companies have had around, in Technopark, in Kerala in general, I would say the most important thing as an entrepreneur is to fail fast. If you're going to fail, you need to know it sooner than later so that you can pivot into something better. So to take your product to market, go as lean as you can, get feedback, or, just simply fail. All of these options are really okay. It's always better to move on than to be stuck in a low margin, high stress business. And the second thing I would say is to find investors. Bootstrapping really takes the joy out of the entrepreneurial journey because every decision you make is weighed down on the basis of your financial constraints. And today there are plenty of investors who want to be involved in a great idea. So find the people who believe in your vision and have at least 2 years capital runway set up before you start. And I think just with these two things, you would be in a good position to start your business, and everything else you can always learn along the way.
Leadership is the capacity to translate a vision into reality. And for sure, a structured approach in creating the right competencies and the necessary mind shift matters. Thank you, Ms. Tina, for this very insightful talk. We look forward catching up with you in future as well. Thank you. And with that, we conclude this edition of the Technopark podcast. Thank you, Tina, for joining us today.
Thanks, Annie. I had a great time.
As we close this episode, I would like to express my gratitude to each one of you for joining us on this journey. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for more. This is the Technopark podcast.